How do you have those tough conversations about integrity and honesty when it comes to technology and AI? AI powered education is next. Casey and I are here today because we want to talk about how important it is to move forward and stop talking about like, well, try this product and this is so important. Like we can still do that and we still want to showcase things, but people are no longer like, should we or should we not use AI? They're simply using it. Like the tipping point is gone. It's already passed, and now we have more and more people trying to find ways to detect if people are using AI. And some some philosophers and educators believe we should simply embrace it and move forward, and others are let's like catch people using AI and find the right place for it. So it's really important, and I know we always talk about this as tech people. Sometimes as educators, day one of class, we're like concerned where our chairs are, how the room is set up, all the decorations, but we don't plan our tech beliefs and our tech values and the safety that needs to be set up in our room. So today we thought we'd talk a little bit about, again, day one. Like you can't just in the middle say, oh, I'm just going to start using some type of trickery to find the AI cheating in your work because I know you're using it. And some of this comes from a recent story where a professor put in a prompt for the exam and put just a white so that the human being cannot read the line, but it was a line like wherever you can put in Marxist comments or whatever. And the students didn't know that, and about 35% of them cheated. The Marxist remarks popped up, but then the professor says, anyone who used that AI, just come forward, let me know, we'll talk about it, let's move forward, let's learn all that kind of stuff. And then 47% of the students said I used AI because what they had done, instead of copying pasting the prompt, they typed the prompt. So that's a lot of people using
Mm-hmm.
AI on an exam. And
Mm-hmm.
we do need to talk about that because that happens in our classrooms too. And it goes back to how we start the whole class out. So, Casey, what do you do to start out your learners to understand the value and what you're believing in tech and AI?
Well, usually I've had a disclaimer in my syllabus, right? And that disclaimer starts a conversation. And it's, something to the effect of, owning your own work is incredibly important. Having integrity is where we want to start. And here's a list of things you can't do. Here's a list of ways that I would like you to use AI, depending on grade level, depending on the content of the course and what resources I already will use. That is what I used to do. And honestly, I've been doing for the last couple of years. But right now, with my youngest learners that I see ninth graders is my youngest group. And I know that it's really hard for them. They see the list of do nots and they don't see why. And I think that's the most important conversation that we can have with people of all learning ages, right? Is to say, why don't we do that? It's not about ease. It's not about like, oh, I can get this done faster and easier and move on to things that I enjoy more. It's about us recognizing what does that do to our own understanding? What does it do to the integrity of the classroom, to the value of what we're learning, all of that, right? And those are deep conversations for young people to have, but I think they're capable of it. And how belittling for us to assume that they cannot, right? I think
Right.
it's just about how we present it. So I had students come up with scenarios in class. We talked about like, well, what if? What if a student plagiarized? What if a student copied it from ChatGPT? What's your response? And there's no right or wrong. It's just what would you say to them?
Right.
And most people are like, nothing. I will say nothing. And so I said, well, let's look at it through the lenses of the 5 traits of ethical communicators. If you're honest, if you're an honest communicator, what does that mean to you? Like, what would an honest speaker do in this scenario? It doesn't have to be you. I'm saying a person who claims to be honest. What might they say? If you are a person who acts with integrity and you practice what you preach, if you are looking at it through that lens, what would that person say? And that, I think, sort of helped reframe it. And it's not so much like a finger pointing situation of like, they did something bad, you have to prove that you're better by doing something right. It's more about how we see these traits that we would like people to identify as our traits. How does a trait respond? And when we kind of make it about deciding what somebody else would do, I think it's easier for them to then make those sort of critical judgments about what's right, what's wrong, what ought we do in this situation.
Right.
And I think they understand that they shouldn't use AI, right? Like, I think most people have gathered that, like, oh, that's wrong. But again, why? Why is it wrong to manipulate it and to use it in a way and then to deceive your teacher, to deceive the peers around you?
And what is that doing to yourself? Like what, again, that goes to integrity, but it's also deceiving yourself. What can you really do? I like the idea of like, how does it look when you embrace it? How does it look when you embrace AI? And how does it look when you are not being ethical with AI? Like, because
Right.
that does come from you. Like, how can I embrace it? But how can I also make sure that I'm an honest, people can trust me? Because again, that whole, we're not, I want them to be able to survive on their own and know the why without a tech or an AI. Like, how can they do
Yeah.
that if they don't have it? And then where's their voice? And then who are they when they don't maybe have that tool? For
Right. That's what we're trying to do, right? In our world, in our society, we're raising our children, teaching in our classrooms. We're trying to say, like, do you have integrity? Who are you when no one's watching? Like, I think that sometimes we forget that that isn't just an elementary level conversation about like what's right and wrong in a social situation. This is an everybody conversation, and this happens in our classrooms because the desire to use AI to replace our own thinking is just so much higher. When I'm a person who is an adult navigating this world and I need to, like, I've used AI recently for recipe adjustments. I've used it recently for gift ideas, planning trips for, like, those are personal things where I'm at. Nobody is assessing my ability to contribute those things to my own household, to my own well-being. But then we need students to understand within a classroom, we're literally trying to assess their knowledge and understanding of how to execute X, Y, and Z, how to do this work. And they need to feel empowered to use the AI to execute the tasks that they're not being assessed on, or to assist them in executing those tasks, right? Like, what is brainstorming to them is it needs to be defined and it needs to be explained, even though a lot of people say, oh, use AI to brainstorm. Well, they still have good ideas that can come out of nowhere too, that comes from brainstorming. So they still need that specific direction to be able to learn that skill of how do I come up with an original idea. I don't know, kind of
no,
spiraling
and
there,
again,
but
no, but again, it really does start even before day one. It's not just like, oh, day one or two I do this. No, it's throughout the semester. It's continuous. So we want to embrace it, which people are, but are we doing it in a way that is true to ourselves and is ethical and is honest?
right.
And that's what we need to focus on when we're thinking about what does our classroom look like and where will the seats be and am I communicating with caregivers? It's like, yeah, but what about the tech and the AI? All right,
Right.
thank you. We've got to pay attention that it's for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
That question about why and our own integrity, that's what we're growing to try to all figure out, right?
Yep.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.